Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week, 10 days. For today's second video, day 10 will take us to the 17th of November, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, because they run to around a couple of weeks. We're going to have a look at the CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. So that gets us into the early stages of December. I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video release was our 6 AM upload. And we can be live streaming from 8 PM this evening. So we released the 10th winter update yesterday. Proper epic, I think it's fair to say. So we'll be having a chat about that on our live stream tonight from 8 PM. And we'll show you the 12Z, and of course we'll have some long range as well. I'm sure we will. Please like, share, subscribe on videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. I hope you're having a lovely Monday afternoon. Right, let's start in the Tropical Atlantic then. So we've got two interest areas. We've got an Orange X and Tropical Storm Nicole. Let's deal with the Orange X first of all. That is Disturbance 1. With a 60% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 and 5 days. A well-defined area of low pressure located around 650 miles east of Bermuda continues to produce gale force winds, but the associated shower and thunderstorm activity remains displaced to the east of the low centre due to strong upper level winds. These conditions are expected to remain unfavourable for development today, but may briefly become more favourable on Tuesday, and a short-lived tropical storm could still form as the system begins to move northwards and then northeastwards around 10 miles per hour. Below is then forecast to merge with a cold front by the middle part of the week, and that should be the end of that. Right, we've also got Tropical Storm Nicole giving maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,002 millibars. Clicking on Nicole. Going here, we can see that this is forecast to stay as a tropical storm and give a direct hit to Florida. So the current position of Nicole is just there. Going to go in that direction, and it looks as though by around Wednesday, Thursday, middle of the week, this is likely to give a direct hit to Florida, then moving northwards through Florida into Georgia and South Carolina by next weekend, or by the coming weekend, I suppose. So, yeah, disturbances, tropical storms, whatnot, still continuing. It's not predicted that that's going to power up to a hurricane yet, but we shall wait and see what happens. These things can be, can develop unexpectedly, can take a life of their own. So let's wait and see what happens with that. But a direct hit on Florida with at least a tropical storm coming up later on this week, very late in the season as well, of course. So that, right, centering temperature is currently sitting at 9.4, which is 3 degrees above average. That's provisional to the 6th of November, to yesterday. So, of course, very mild start to November, and this is going to be set to continue through the next week to 10 days as well. I think these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Aberdeen, starting off a bit above average at the moment, but going to get even milder towards the second half of this week and into the coming weekend. It's going to be exceptionally mild for a time. We go into the middle and then the second half of November, and signs of a cool down, but only back to average. No sign of it getting particularly cold before like the final week of November. Precipitation wise, there's going to be some rainfall around in the next day or two. Then we have a drier interlude with the high pressure building in and lifting up the temperature later on in the week. And then for around mid-month onwards, it looks like it's increasingly unsettled. So cooler and wetter through the second half of November. Temperature anomalies from the 7th to the 15th of November are above average. Going to be a milder than average week to come. Not just the UK, but for all parts of Europe, really. And precipitation anomalies from the 7th, 15th of November, they're drier than average, more southern and eastern areas. Still a little bit wetter through western parts of Scotland. But this second week of November is going to be a drier week than we've had for a little while. Latest wind from that from earthnullschool.net shows that low pressure is in control of the weather today out to west of Ireland, and we're bringing up these very mild southwesterly winds, of course, but there is an active front that's going to be pushing eastwards through the rest of the afternoon and overnight tonight, bringing heavy rain and potentially some strong or gale force winds. Right, so go through the chart data then. This is how you can make your run looks for midnight on Thursday. High pressure will be reaching into France. Low pressure will be around Greenland and Iceland, and we'll be drawing up this exceptionally mild southwest wind. That high pressure strengthens then at the end of the week and into weekend. This is midnight Saturday. High pressure sends over Germany and France. Low pressure is out in the Atlantic, and we're drawing up this very, very mild, if not warm, southerly flow. Those southerly winds continue into Sunday as well. And then through the early part of next week, this gets us to midnight on Monday. Looks like low pressure then starts to edge in from off the Atlantic, probably brings some outbreaks of rain, and then starting to lower the temperature, perhaps a little bit anyway, into the second half of the month. Icon looks like that with southwest winds again on Thursday. High pressure building then over the east of the country, end of week into weekend, draws up the southerlies again. They're coming back. Again, with low pressure out to west and high pressure to the east. The low pressure by midday on Monday is edging in from off the Atlantic. That brings some rain and cooler air in from the Atlantic. But ahead of that, we're still drawing up those long fetch southerlies with the air originating from Spain and whatnot. GFS midnight run is looking like this. So once more, very warm really for the time of year anyway, at the end of week and into weekend with those winds in from the south. Into about next week, low pressure increasingly influential from off the Atlantic as the high pressure retreats back eastwards. Still mild though, still drawing wind up a southerly direction, but by daytime low pressure is deepening in the Atlantic. This is 17th of November, of course. Low pressure is really deepening in the Atlantic by daytime, bringing plenty of wet and windy weather sweeping in from west. A little bit on the cooler side as well. The jet stream is easing its way southwards. So wet and cooler really as we go through the third week of the month. GFS 6Z, again with high pressure south, low pressure way to the northwest, and we're putting up those very mild or warm southwest winds. And they continue into the weekend and turn southerly with high pressure to the east and low pressure out to the west. The early part of next week begins to see that high pressure retreating away in towards the west of Russia as lower pressure builds in the Atlantic. And so through the course of next week, it turns increasingly unsettled, wet and windy again, low pressure deepening around Iceland. And trying to bring cooler air in from the North Atlantic as well, those areas of low pressure. Well, extended range begins to take those low pressures even further south as heights rise to the north. So we are starting to pull in some much cooler air from the North Atlantic. With this, it's not particularly cold, but definitely the jet stream is moving further southwards. Also very unsettled as well, with low pressure being further bouts of rain, so turning increasingly wet and cold, really, I think, as we go through the third week of November on this GFS 6 run. That's how we get to the end of it. Notice heights trying to build over Scandinavia, reaching in. Basically, an extension from a Siberian high, but originally in from the east over Scandinavia, and also trying to reach towards Greenland as well. So it looks a little bit on the block side there by the time we get through to the end of the GFS 6Z run. But we're a long way out, and even up to that point, it's not particularly cold, but it's certainly a lot cooler than it will be at the end of this week and at the weekend. If you enjoyed the video, then please do you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And we thank you so very much, everyone, for doing that. We need to put on only now around 25 subscribers to get to 14.7k. So if you could give us a sub, that'd be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, the GEM looks like this, GM, with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north on Thursday. We're drawing up those southwesterly winds. At the end of the week into weekend, wind turns southerly, with that high pressure sitting over Germany again, drawing up those long fetch southerlies from Spain into the early part of next week. Low pressure then starts coming in from off the Atlantic, bringing increasingly unsettled weather, rather wet and windy as we move up towards day 10. Jet stream is easing southwards a little bit as well, so becoming a bit colder and wetter as we go into the second half of the month. And then the ECM WF once more with that southwesterly on Thursday, then high pressure builds over to the east right into Saturday. We pull up those very mild, if not warm, southerly winds. So high pressure then begins to retreat further eastwards as lower pressure comes in off the Atlantic through the early part of next week. So increasingly unsettled, wetter, windy with that area of low pressure, and that carries on up to day 10 with low pressure bringing further bouts of rain. And, cooler air as well as the jet stream is easing just a little bit to our south. So we're more or less on the cool side of jet stream. Although I have to emphasise, it's not cold. We're not looking at anything cold, really just cooler and wetter into the second half of the month. Precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from threadshow.com shows we're going to have showers as well as rain coming over the next couple of days. Then things will be drying out through the middle part of the week, away from Western Scotland, Northern Ireland anyway, where quite wet. The end of week weekend brings up those southerly winds. We're under high pressure then really, so we're mostly dry until we open up next week when showery rain then starts edging back in from off the Atlantic coast. We turn increasingly wet through the course of next week with this deep area of low pressure bringing not only heavy rain but also gale force winds. And you'll notice it is forecast a bit of a dump of snow there across Ireland. That's the 15th of November. I think we can discount that. I doubt very much whether that will verify. But it's just a suggestion that the air will be cooler from around the middle of the month onwards as the jet stream begins to ease a bit further southwards. But the main takeaway, main storyline, is that it will be turning very unsettled again. I haven't got the options on the table up. Let's get those together for you, then, and I shall see you in a moment. There you go. Goodness gracious me. What are you doing, Gav? Because I had the day off yesterday. It wasn't in mine. Anyway, here we go. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensemble today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office will get us to the 17th of November. 16 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and the operation run, have low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic, looking very unsettled with that one. Another 16 just here with low pressure to the west will still be unsettled, but higher pressure further eastwards. That's probably very mild during wind up from a southerly direction. We've got 10 placing us under high pressure, ridging in from the east. So that's going to be a drier, cooler option. Might deliver a little bit of a gruesome twosome. And then frost and fog. And then 9 with low pressure in off the Atlantic. And that looks very unsettled with a strong westerly flow there in 2 weeks' time. These are the options that we've got today. Gets us to the 22nd of November. 16 members of the ECM ensembles continue to look very unsettled with low pressure over the country. 11 with high pressure ridging in from off the Atlantic. That's turning things drier, but will be quite mild, I think. We're still drawing in wind generally southwesterly direction there. We've got 11 with high pressure just to the north of the country. Around that, we could be bringing in a colder easterly wind. And then we've got 9 with high pressure ridging up from the south. So again, that's going to be drier, but will be very mild. And then we've got 4 will be mild. And then we've got 4 with low pressure over top of the country. That can be unsettled. Probably quite chilly with that one, as we would be on the cool side of the jet. So a range of options. We might stay unsettled there. We might bring in higher pressure. So like very uncertain by 2 weeks out. CFS finally. These are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 7th to 13th of November. The coming week will have high pressure to the east. Low pressure will be to west, so we'll be bringing up a very mild southerly wind in the week ahead. Back to those southerlies. Week 2 will be the 14th to the 20th of November. High pressure retreating a little bit further eastwards. Low pressure out in the Atlantic. That's starting to turn things unsettled. It's still mild, potentially very mild, with winds from south-southwest, but turning more unsettled. Week 3 is going to be the 21st to 27th of November. High pressure then sitting close to the country, across the continent really, That will have a wind back in from the southwest again, I would have thought. So that looks drier but mild. And then week 4 is the 28th of November to 4th of December. High pressure event centres over the country. That obviously is mostly dry and will be a bit colder as well, I would have thought. And that high pressure will probably start generating a bit of frost and fog as it is centred over the top of the country now. Right, well, we're done. That's 4 weeks away, so let's not worry about it. We're done, so if you enjoyed the video, please do you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And we thank you so very much, everyone, for doing that. Okay, so that's your 2014 day for today. Could be live streaming from 8 PM tonight. We'll show you the 12Z. We'll have some long range, and we'll have a chat about the 10th winter update as well. Tomorrow, we shall have the 6 AM upload, the extended ECM WF 42 day forecast. And we'll have a 10 to 14 day for you as well. I shall see you later on for our live stream. That's from 8 PM. But for this video, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. Have a good afternoon.